Character reveals itself in unprepared moments, not in rehearsed words. It is very easy for someone to say the right things when they have time to think. Anyone can prepare a speech, anyone can practice their responses, and anyone can hide their flaws behind polite language. But true character is not about what someone rehearses. True character is what slips through when life surprises them, when the situation is unexpected, and when they do not have time to polish their reaction. In those unprepared moments, you see the truth of who someone really is. Think about the times you have seen someone's mask fall away. Maybe it was a person who always claimed to be patient, but the first time they faced a delay at the airport, they shouted at the staff. Or maybe it was someone who claimed to be humble, but the first time they got a small taste of power, they looked down on others. These are not accidents. These are glimpses of the real person hidden behind the rehearsed personality. The reason those moments are so powerful is because no one can fake them for long. Life has a way of exposing what is inside us when we least expect it. When you want to understand someone's character, you do not need to listen only to their promises. You need to watch how they act in moments they cannot control. Imagine a person who speaks endlessly about kindness but shows irritation to a stranger asking for directions. Imagine a person who preaches honesty but quickly changes their story when they feel cornered. These slips are not minor mistakes. They are windows into who the person truly is when the pressure of being perfect is gone. The rehearsed part of a person is what they want the world to believe, but the unprepared part of a person is what they cannot hide. This is why small details matter so much. The way someone reacts to a slow waiter, the way they speak to a driver, the way they handle an unexpected question, all of these things tell you more about them than hours of self-praise ever could. When someone is caught off guard, you see their raw emotions and instincts. You see if their kindness is genuine or only a mask. You see if their patience is real or only a show. Character does not live in grand speeches. It lives in these small cracks of reality. We all know people who are very skilled at pretending. They know the right words to say in public. They know how to win people's hearts with charm. They know how to tell stories that make them look good. But charm fades the moment life presents an obstacle. Pretending takes energy, and no one can keep it up forever. In a heated argument, in a sudden loss, in a moment of frustration, the disguise slips, the voice rises, the face changes, and the truth emerges. That is the exact moment when you see character more clearly than ever before. The reason this matters so much is because relationship, whether personal or professional, cannot survive only on rehearsed words. Sooner or later, the unprepared moments will come. Sooner or later, the storms of life will reveal the truth. And it is better to pay attention early than to be surprised later. If you want to know if someone is trustworthy, do not only listen to their vows of loyalty. Watch how they act when they are tempted to betray. If you want to know if someone is generous, do not only hear their speeches about giving. Watch what they do when nobody is keeping score. In the unplanned corners of life, you will see the truth. But this lesson is not only about judging others, it is also about looking inward. Each of us must ask, what comes out of me in the moments I cannot control? Am I kind only when people are watching, or am I kind when I gain nothing from it? Am I honest only when it is convenient, or am I honest even when it costs me? Our character is not what we post online. It is not what we say in carefully chosen words. Our character is what spills out when life catches us off guard. And if we do not like what we see in those moments, that is the place where we must grow. The truth is simple but powerful. Character cannot be rehearsed. It cannot be built on masks or clever words. It lives in instinct, in reaction, in those raw flashes of the self that cannot be hidden. That is why the unprepared moments matter most. They strip away the performance and leave behind only the truth. If you truly want to know who someone is, do not only listen to what they say. Watch how they live when they are not prepared. That is where their real character shines through. When it comes to understanding human character, one of the clearest ways to see someone's true self is by noticing how they treat those who can offer them nothing in return. It is easy to put on a smile when standing in front of someone powerful, to be kind when a reward is expected, or to show respect when there is a chance of personal gain. These moments do not require much depth of heart because they are driven by desire for advantage. But when a person is faced with someone who has no power, no wealth, no influence, and no ability to help them, their reaction in that moment is the purest reflection of who they really are. Think for a moment about how often we witness this in everyday life. A person may be warm and charming in a meeting with their boss, but dismissive and cold to the office cleaner who walks in afterward. Someone may act generous in front of their friends, Giving gifts or speaking kind words, but ignore a stranger asking for simple directions on the street. These contradictions show us that kindness rooted only in gain is not real kindness at all. It is a performance, a tool used to create an image or win a reward. True character, however, has nothing to do with performance. It shines in those quiet, unnoticed moments when a person acts from who they are, not from what they want. A person of genuine heart will not calculate value before showing respect. They will not measure what they stand to gain before offering kindness. They understand that dignity is not earned by wealth, power, or status. It is given by the simple fact of being human. To them, the waiter at the restaurant deserves the same courtesy as the owner. The stranger deserves the same smile as a friend. And the person at the lowest position in society is no less worthy of compassion than the one at the top. This is not because it is profitable to act this way, but because it reflects the principles they carry inside. We see this difference clearly in relationships as well. Some people are affectionate and loving only when everything is going smoothly or when they want something. But when the other person is in a time of weakness, when there is nothing to be gained and only patience to be given, the mask falls off. Suddenly, the sweetness is gone, replaced with indifference or even irritation. This is why many people realize too late that they were admired only for what they could provide, not for who they were. The test of true love and loyalty is always in the moments when you have nothing left to offer. If someone still chooses to stay, to care, and to treat you with respect in those moments, then you have seen their true character. History and culture are full of stories that highlight this truth. Leaders who were praised not because of how they treated the rich, but because of how they treated the poor. Great teachers and thinkers remembered not for their speeches on stages, but for their small acts of kindness toward those society ignored. These stories survive through time because they touch a part of us that knows the difference between performance and authenticity. We admire those who can see humanity in everyone, not just in those who can lift them higher. At the same time, this principle is also a mirror for ourselves. It is not only about observing others, but also about asking an honest question. How do I treat those who cannot benefit me? Do I ignore the small people in my day, those whose names I may not even know? Do I speak differently to someone depending on what they can give me? Or do I hold the same level of respect across every interaction, no matter how big or small? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are necessary because they reveal whether our kindness is genuine or conditional. The truth is, character is not proven in big moments under the spotlight, but in small moments in the shadows. Anyone can play the role of a kind person when eyes are watching, when the reward is near, or when the outcome is in their favor. But the real test is in those silent moments when the only judge is the conscience. If we want to live with integrity, we must carry the courage to treat every person with dignity, not because of what they offer, but because of what we believe is right. So remember this simple principle. The way someone treats those who cannot benefit them shows their true heart, and the way you treat such people shows yours. In those small unnoticed choices, you either build a character of authenticity or a mask of convenience. In the end, masks fade, but character remains. And it is that quiet truth, visible only in moments of sincerity, that will define who we really are. Public behavior can be faked. Private behavior reveals integrity. This truth is one of the deepest lessons about human character. In the world we live in today, people are constantly being watched, judged, and measured. Social media, work environments, and even family gatherings create a stage where everyone feels the pressure to perform. On this stage, many people put on their best version of themselves. They smile when they don't want to. They act generous when they want to be seen, and they appear disciplined because eyes are on them. But once the curtain falls and they step away from that stage, who are they really? That is where integrity comes in, because integrity is not about how you appear, but about who you are when nobody is there to applaud or criticize you. It is easy to be polite in a crowd because the crowd is watching. It is easy to donate money when cameras are present because recognition follows. It is easy to look patient when people are around because the fear of judgment holds you back from showing your true frustration. But these acts, though they may look good, are not proof of character. They are performances shaped by external pressure. Real integrity is what guides your actions when you know no one else will ever know what you did. If a person speaks kindly in public but gossips and tears others down in private, their true self is the one revealed in those hidden words, not in the rehearsed kindness. Integrity is that invisible guide that does not need an audience. It whispers to you that stealing Even when no one will catch you still wrong, it reminds you that breaking promises, even if no one else remembers them, is a reflection of your honesty. It tells you to work hard on tasks that nobody will ever praise you for, because the reward is not applause, but the satisfaction of living true to your own values. A person without integrity depends on the presence of others to act right, but a person with integrity is guided by inner principles even when there is no one around. Think about this for a moment. If you really want to know someone's character, don't just look at what they do in public. Ask instead how they behave when they think no one will ever know. Do they keep their word when there is no punishment if they break it? Do they show kindness to people they believe they will never meet again? Do they respect boundaries even when they know they won't be caught if they cross them? These hidden actions tell you far more about their true heart than any public display. The reason private behavior matters so much is because it removes the mask. In public, the mask of politeness, charm, and good manners can be held tightly, but in private moments, the real self emerges. For example, a person may stand on stage and speak about honesty, discipline, or faith, but when they are alone, they may betray those very values. Another person, who may not speak much or boast about their goodness, might live quietly with integrity, making honest choices in secret and respecting others when no one is watching. The difference is simple but powerful. One lives for the audience, the other lives for the truth. History has shown us many examples of this. Leaders who look noble in public but abused their power in private. Friends who smiled to your face but betrayed you when you turned away. On the other hand, there are countless quiet people who were never praised on a stage but lived faithfully, kindly, and with dignity, leaving a legacy of respect among those who truly knew them. This shows us that it is not the spotlight that defines you, but the shadows where nobody else sees. Integrity also brings peace. When your actions align with your values, even when you are alone, you don't carry the burden of pretending. You don't have to wear different masks for different people. You don't have to worry about being exposed because there is nothing hidden to expose. Your private life matches your public face. This kind of consistency is rare, but it creates deep respect. People may not always see the details of your private behavior, but they sense the stability and strength in someone who is the same person on and off the stage. Public behavior is important, yes, but it can never be the full picture. Anyone can act kind for a short time under watchful eyes. The true test is in the moments that no one claps for, no one records, and no one notices. If your integrity remains steady there, then you are truly strong. So the challenge for all of us is to live not for the show, but for the truth. Because in the end, your reputation is what people think you are, but your integrity is what you really are. And that difference, whether seen or unseen, is what defines your true character. Respect is earned by consistent values, not by performance. It is one of those truths that many people do not understand because we live in a world that teaches us to perform, to impress, to put on a show. From an early age, we are told to behave well when others are watching, to polish our image, to make sure we look successful, attractive, or important. But the reality is that performance can fool the eyes for a short while, yet it never fools the heart forever. When people look closer and spend more time with you, they will not remember the performance. They will remember your values. They will remember how you made them feel when you did not need to impress them. Respect cannot be demanded, and it cannot be forced through words or gestures of pride. Real respect is born when people notice that your values do not shift depending on the situation. Think of a person who preaches honesty yet bends the rules whenever it benefits them. They might fool some for a moment, but sooner or later people see through the cracks. Respect fades away the moment others realize that behind the stage lights, there is nothing solid holding the person together. On the other hand, imagine someone who quietly but steadily lives by honesty even when nobody is paying attention. Maybe they return a small amount of money they found, or maybe they keep their word on a promise that others would have forgotten. These small choices might not make headlines, but they build a reputation stronger than any performance. Performance is often about image. It is the mask we put on when we want to be seen a certain way. It is the act of smiling when we are angry, of acting generous when we are hoping for recognition, or of appearing humble while secretly craving praise. But values go deeper. Values are those inner rules that you do not break, even when there is no reward. A person with consistent values does not need to remember which mask to wear because they are the same in every room, with every person, at every hour. This consistency is what inspires respect. Think about the leaders or mentors who left a mark on you. Was it their speeches that truly changed you, or was it the way they lived? Most often, The answer is not in their grand performances, but in their example. A parent who teaches kindness yet screams at waiters in restaurants does not inspire respect. A teacher who demands fairness but shows favoritism in class does not earn respect. But a parent who stays patient, a teacher who treats every student equally, a friend who keeps showing up even when it is inconvenient, these are the ones who leave behind real respect. Consistency is powerful because life constantly tests it. There are always situations where it would be easier to act against your values, where nobody would notice, and where you could get away with something. If you still choose to live by your values in those moments, it shows strength. That strength is visible even if you do not advertise it. People sense it, they trust it, and they respect it. It is like a steady flame in a storm. The flame does not need to shout to be seen. Its quiet steadiness becomes enough. Performance, on the other hand, is fragile. You can keep it up for a while, but it takes energy and effort to keep pretending. One slip, one inconsistency, and the mask falls off. People may forget what you said in a show, but they rarely forget the moment they realize the show was fake. Once trust is broken, respect rarely returns. That is why respect built on performance is temporary, but respect built on consistent values is lasting. A person who lives with values understands that respect is not about being perfect. It is about being genuine and reliable. People do not respect those who pretend never to make mistakes. They respect those who admit when they are wrong and still hold on to their principles. They respect those who may fail, but never lose their honesty, their kindness, or their courage. In a way, living by values is not about looking flawless. It is about being real in a world full of illusions. If you want respect that lasts longer than applause, do not focus on performance. Do not waste your energy on creating an image that will fade once the lights are off. Instead, build a life rooted in values that do not change with circumstances. Be the same person with power and without power, with friends and with strangers, in public and in private. That is how respect is truly earned. In the end, respect is not about what people clap for in the moment. Respect is about what they quietly carry in their hearts about you when the performance is over. A show can be forgotten, but values echo long after. Respect belongs not to the performer, but to the one who lives with consistent values day after day, choice after choice. It is not the act that earns respect, but the truth behind the act. And once you understand this, you stop trying to impress and start trying to live with integrity, because integrity is the one performance that never ends. The two trick questions act as mirrors that uncover truth. Most people spend their lives trying to manage appearances. They practice their smiles, adjust their words, and wear masks that suit the occasion, but the essence of who they are will always find a way to reveal itself. No matter how polished the performance may be, character is not a costume. It is not something that can be borrowed or faked for long. The two questions that matter most are the ones that cannot be answered by charm or intelligence alone. They demand something deeper, something unprepared, and they expose the nature of a person without them even realizing it. The first mirror is the question of how someone treats people who have nothing to offer them. Life makes it very easy to be polite when someone is important, influential, or beneficial to us. There is always a reason to be kind when the other person holds power, status, or beauty. But the real measure of a heart is in the moments when none of those things are present. Imagine a man at a restaurant who speaks kindly to his date but treats the waiter with rudeness. Imagine a boss who praises his superiors but humiliates his staff. These small moments are reflections of the soul. They tell us more about a person than any well-prepared speech. Because if kindness is only reserved for those who can return the favor, then it is not kindness at all. It is a transaction, an exchange of performance. But when someone offers respect to the powerless, compassion to the forgotten, or patience to the unnoticed, they show a character that does not depend on gain. That is who they really are. The second mirror is the question of what someone does when nobody is watching. A person can act honest when surrounded by eyes. They can appear generous when others are there to praise them. They can look moral when an audience is clapping. But who are they when the lights are off and the room is empty? Do they still hold themselves to the same principles? Or do they cut corners, betray promises, and justify wrongs because no one will ever know? Integrity is not tested in the public eye, but in the silence of solitude. A person of true character behaves the same way in private as they do in public. They live with consistency because their values are not performances, they are a part of them. To discover who someone is, you must look at what they choose to do in the unseen. It is in the quiet choices, in the hidden actions that character is written. These two questions work together as mirrors because they bypass the masks. Ask how someone treats those who can do nothing for them, And you see whether their kindness is genuine or conditional. Ask what they do when no one is watching, and you see whether their values are real or staged. The answers to these are not spoken with words, but shown in patterns of behavior. They reveal truths people may never confess. They expose motives people try to hide. They shine light on whether a person is trustworthy, selfish, or sincere. And the truth is, these questions are not just for testing others, they are also for testing ourselves. It is easy to point a mirror outward, but the true power comes when you hold it up to your own reflection. How do you treat people who have no advantage to give you? How do you act when no one will ever find out? These questions do not flatter, they do not excuse, and they do not bend to ego. They demand honesty. They force us to confront the gap between who we say we are and who we actually are. The beauty of these mirrors is that they are simple, yet they cut deep. They do not require complicated theories or endless analysis. They only require observation and honesty. Watch a person long enough, and the answers will show themselves. Reflect on your own actions, and you will see the truth about your own character. These questions do not lie, because behavior does not lie. A person may talk endlessly about their values, but how they treat the powerless and how they act in private will always tell the real story. In the end, character is not about reputation. Reputation is what others think of you, but character is what remains when all eyes are turned away. The two trick questions remind us that truth is always close. We do not need to dig endlessly or guess blindly. All it takes is to look at how someone behaves in the absence of reward and in the absence of an audience. These mirrors do not flatter, but they reveal. They do not polish, but they reflect. And in their reflection, the truth of a person's soul is seen more clearly than in anything they say. Real character is what remains when the act is over. This is something most people forget because they often believe character is about the image they present to the world, the way they speak in public, or the charm they display in social gatherings. But the truth is far deeper. The act can only last so long. A person can practice their smile, their words, their gestures, and even their kindness. They can rehearse the right responses and wear the right mask. But once the stage lights go out, once the audience leaves, and once no one is watching, the mask falls. What remains in that quiet space is the real measure of a person. That is character. Many times in life we meet people who seem perfect when all eyes are on them. They say the right things, show generosity, and appear as though they care. But when you watch closely, you begin to notice cracks. You see how they treat people who do not matter to them, those who cannot add to their success or comfort. A person who is truly kind does not choose when to be kind. They do not turn their smile on and off depending on who stands before them. They carry it as part of who they are. This is why the way someone treats a stranger, a worker, or a person of no influence is such a powerful test of character. There is no gain in those moments, no advantage to be won, and so their behavior comes from the heart, not the performance. In the same way, private life holds the clearest reflection of who someone really is. When you are alone, when there is no one to impress, and when no one is watching, that is where truth sits. If you cut corners only when people are not around, then honesty is not truly your value. It is just your costume. If you speak about loyalty but betray in secret, then loyalty is not in your blood. It is only on your lips. And if you act respectful in the crowd but treat others with contempt in private, then respect is not your character. It is your disguise. It is not the applause that defines you. It is the silence. This is why character is not about reputation. Reputation is what people think you are. And character is what you truly are. Reputation can be built in a day, but character is built over years of choices. Reputation can be damaged by lies, but character stands unshaken by falsehood because it is the truth within you. Reputation depends on the audience, but character depends on your soul. And when the act is over, when the mask is off, reputation fades away, but character remains. We live in a world where performance is everywhere. Social media is filled with carefully crafted images. People post their brightest smiles, their kindest acts, and their most perfect moments. But none of this proves character. A picture can be staged, a story can be edited, and an image can be false. What cannot be staged is the way you treat people daily, the way you keep your word, and the way you act when no one is clapping for you. That is why the two trick questions: how do you treat those who can do nothing for you? And how do you behave when no one is watching? Strip away all the illusions. They pull the curtain aside and show the truth. And the truth is this: you cannot hide your character forever. At some point, it reveals itself. You may fool others for a time, but eventually the way you act in secret will find its way into the light. That is why those who live with integrity never worry about being exposed, because there is nothing to expose. They are the same in public as they are in private. They are steady, consistent, and true. This does not mean they are perfect, but it means they are real. And real is stronger than perfect. So when you ask yourself who you are, do not look at the act you perform for others. Look at who you are when you close the door and no one else is there. Look at how you speak to those who can give you nothing. Look at how you handle moments of power, temptation, and silence. That is where your character is written. Not on the stage of life, but in the quiet backstage where no one claps and no one sees. Real character is what remains when the act is over. It is the truth that no mask can cover, the weight that no performance can carry, and the essence that no applause can change. In the end, people may forget your words, they may forget your image, but they will always remember how your character made them feel. That memory will outlive the act, and that is what defines your legacy.